times we have these illusions about ourselves where our training and our skill set might be weak. So when you hit the market with either as assistants or as fashion designers yourself, you may find yourself against a deadlock, losing money, bankrupt, and all other disasters may fall on you. But however, amongst you can also be a guy who can get quick success or teach all the existing people in the world a big lesson like we just got from Sabyasachi, who clearly showed the fact that he as a young guy could go ahead and beat the entire market by creating his own systems. And today he's a very copied designer. Um, Even by his other, patrons. So, I mean, amongst us can be one of those too. So, there is a very big requirement in the industry for technical knowledge at the moment. If students can pick up the learning process more, I always get most of you students, whether you're from NIFT, Pearl, or even say your college, is we have a profession of a guy called a folder. I mean, if you go to my husband's export factory or any other export factory, you will see on any packing floor where the clothes are finished, quality control checked and packed. That is a separate department of packing. There is a profession of a man who may be feeding a family of 20. His job is to fold. So folding comes in measurements. It's 16 by 18, 18, 24. Now one of the things is none of you know how to fold. So when you don't know how to fold, second, you don't know how to hang. So learn first the basics. Go back home, hang your clothes yourselves, fold them, and flip fold so you get the hang of it. It helps in clothes. It helps in display, visual merchandising, also in creating the clothes. A lot of times, because you may make clothes which are unpractical, unwearable, and from a perspective of a school and college may work, but in reality they'll not sell from these points. The other thing I think designers will need from you guys is, even if your college may not be like the best, say a NIFT is assumed to be the best for pattern making, providing you guys the skills of draping, pick up on other areas, measurements. None of the NIFT kids know how to measure garments. They don't know how to measure flat garments. There's a way to measure hang and measure. There's a way to measure flat. This is what the industry really needs. Then digital printing, it's a very big requirement. So how to create prints on the computers, how to draw on CAD, pattern make, and then essential knowledge of color, hand feel. These are the basics of the trade which get you a long way. And my suggestions would be to make them uh, go into the field more. Simple things is better. I would advise you guys for ready to wear right now and to stick as backup to the export market, because that is going to stay. That needs people. That will always need more than merchandiser. It will need you as designers, a designer to infer the designs of the teams they work from, whether by sketch or by that. I mean, these are special things I tell all the kids. In the first 6 months, I give me an intern, all I make them do is fold, uh, learn to do the basics, dye. Maybe a lot of classes don't teach you that in India, don't even touch dyeing black. You'll never get it right. Buy the blacks. Okay, mill dye is different. But when you don't, you have these small chunni dyers who do your dyeing. If you can learn dyeing yourself, it's a good thing, because then you can train your dyer. So ask me what you want. I mean, there is any questions related to the field. If it's technical knowledge, your teachers should help me out.
First step to know the industry, to know the
Yeah,
not industry, first the basic, and then the industry, and
yeah,
then your market, right? So there are many times when we suppose if we at women we really don't have a big hand or big say to say, okay, I want to do this and I really want to do it. And that time, suppose if I want to do my business in India, but I cannot, I have to move out of India because of the movement of the family or the ship or the husband. And then I want to do it there, in a country where production is not being done. Obviously, I feel proud that I'm human being, but we are much richer in a lot of aspects. And we can produce goods whatever, whichever way, right? But I really don't know how to approach the customer there. I can have a very and the product they look forward to, or they are missing, or they really want to appreciate. But how, what kind of a difficulty or what kind of a limitation I will face there to know more about the international level of competition on a smaller scale base business.
So
Can you guide
everything
us?
boils down to perseverance and your own self, actually. So I mean, I remember once years ago, God, I don't remember, 15, 20 years ago, and I just jumped into a cab, and then this some person shouted from the back. I was in Paris, and those days Air France was the only flight from Delhi. Now, of course, there's so many options, and it would land up there at 6 a.m. Oh, and then 7 a.m. you're trying to get a cab. It's very hard to get into the rush hour. And this guy says, "Can I share the taxi with you?" Because there was a queue and we couldn't get a cab. And it was raining or whatever. So I said, "Sure." And I looked around. To my surprise, was one of the guys like you are students today. At some point, either he was in college with me or behind or somewhere. I saw him in the corridors for years. And that was my familiarity with him. So I said, "Sure, what do you do?" So he is the answer to your question. He became the biggest supplier after Adarsh Gill, not knowing the market, having no contacts whatsoever, purely by his determination. He went door to door. Even if they kicked him out, he sat. When they told him, "I don't have time," he still waited on them till they finally saw him. For 7 years, he went day after day to their factories till he became one of the biggest suppliers, giving them embroideries. So it's really based on your own research and your determination to not give up. And once you do get the business, you need to provide yourselves with the knowledge of making garments, then your sourcing. So it's all that to get the right product across to them.
Any suggestion or guidance you would like to give us, all of us, to pay attention to? Of course, quality, of course, your design, of course, the service. But market research is something which I don't know how to focus. You can Google a lot. You can even call
No, no.
to the US
Yeah.
ministry to check the area you are trying to build in your boutique. Like what kind of pay scale the people have. All this information you can get. But I still feel that market research, I don't know how to do. If I should talk to the people a lot who are living there.
You need something which makes you unique in a very saturated market, which is why you need the college to provide you a direction which will show your own strengths. So it's no point, I've seen the cloners go nowhere. They go very well for 10 years maximum. Post that, they collapse. So if you're going to survive long term, you will need an identity of your own. So if you're no good at a design, don't push it. Go for the other skills you can acquire. If you're great at manufacturing, tailoring, it's the biggest strength to own. Because then you can teach 100. There is so many categories in fashion. It isn't just about clothes. There's manufacturing will always be required, whether it's fashion, whether it's interiors, whether it's cushions, accessories. There's many fields. But yeah, go back to basics is what I tell myself when I also find myself stagnating, coming on deadlocks. Okay, there's a scene of improvement where you're not seeing the writing on the wall. So you go back to your basics. You go back to where you began. And when you're young, you have the energy, you have ideas, which you will, over a point, stagnate with. So it's good to be at this point of your life. Just what you don't like to do, the boring and the dreary, is very important. Focus on those, I think. Yeah.
Tailor community, the
Yeah.
Labour Party.
Yeah.
And as we have already heard, that this party is really difficult to handle.
Yeah.
They have a different
Yeah.
mindset. So I want to ask, when you reach a certain level, when
Yeah.
you like if I talk about you, you have already established your brand. When you reach a certain level, does that Labour Party still causes a problem at that level also, or the problems get reduced at that point? Because you
No,
have
so
already.
that's if you are very. If not, you come in their way. So they are showing to express the, that the friction comes in then. After all, there is many categories of tailoring, no? You have first a cutter, you'll have an idea, a design. So by merely looking at a book, you're not creating a design. So if you have to be able to create your own, you should be picking up your own skills very strong. Either hire a tailor to teach you how to tailoring. It will give you such a freedom of design, frankly. You can make things which are truly your own. They're fine, tailors. It's just that you need to be able to give them clear communication. You need to be able to give them uh, explanations by way of their own understanding. They can turn a bit into mocksters if they feel your knowledge is lower than theirs. But however, they're okay with knowledge. I've worked all my life. I've been in the non-electricity phases of Delhi pre-show. We've actually been in halls of 100 workers alone sometimes, midnight onwards in the early enthusiastic days. You're safe. It's fine. It's called Export, and that's about it. So I've shown at London Fashion Week, I've shown in New York, everywhere on earth. It's no different. It's just that you decide to do a show here, you can do a show there. You want to sell your clothes here, you can sell them. Abroad is just another place. Like we have land under our feet, there's land there. It depends. There are I don't know how many countries on earth, 200 plus.
I think I'll reframe my question. I think what she meant to say is we teach them a term called local.
Okay.
Think global, act local.
Okay.
So are you carrying the local to, are you going country wise? Is your collection a basic collection? Are you modifying your collection to a country? Keeping in mind that every culture has a different color, preference, various silhouettes, weather is different. Or are you going with the basic line and selling the same collection in different? Am I right? Is that what you asked? That's what
Okay.
she's trying to ask.
So I do for myself 2 shows. I do what I call then my international collection, which we show at the was earlier Wills, now it's Amazon. So at the fashion weeks. So that's called ready to wear collection, and that's essentially an international Western line under 10,000 rupees. Who buys it is dependent on the whether I fit in for the buyer, whether it's Middle East, whether it's America, Japan, France, Italy, and I can even showcase it in any fashion week I participate in Europe or any fair I want to do. And there are 2 seasons I do, which is spring and fall. And then I do what I call is daily we producing bespoke kind of clothing for our boutique in Delhi, or I can do the exhibition model, which sometimes works for me. When I have energy, I do it. And then I also do is Couture Week, which is a season where I show the Indian wedding collection in July. So 3 shows a year at least, yeah.
So it's obvious the bespoke clothing and the couture is the Indian wedding is not going abroad.
Yeah.
The other 2 shows that are being done by Amazon
But
are being
today you can actually bridge it. It's not
Yeah.
so, it's very easy to bridge the two today because the fashion is so similar and it's very overlapping, and it's even the Indian, those kurtas, the kaftans, the scarves. People a lot of times like it. Like recently one of our buyers has taken one of my couture skirts as one of their own Christmas collections as a skirt. So it's relevant. I mean, how they put it in their stories, how you fit in. Like, and to have standalone boutiques, you can do that too. But it's huge investments.
How much of forecast do you follow?
Completely, you have to follow forecast trends for international seasons, which you will do for spring and fall. Now we've done 2015. So there's this new color, I think, which will, my personal thing is that it's going to come up as the big player, is that orangey rust. Because I've done it before in the 90s, it was very big then. So I really dug out my own old collections, some pieces, and we use them to, restructure this as our own. Because otherwise it really, if you borrow, you don't get that USP, and you invariably never get the business on it.
Would you like to tell our students something about the change of the Indian society by the customer has changed in India? In 90s, the way you were selling, what you were selling, to today what you're selling, and the differences. How should they capture that and understand your customer a bit? It's
I
important
think customer is important, very important, because it's what people want. And today the customer is very savvy, whether he lives in a village. And I mean, to value your Indian client is very important, I think. A lot of us have this obsession of going abroad. And trust me, I've done damn lot of shows abroad. It is so much harder than doing them at home. It is at least 10 times harder. I mean, the only place I've enjoyed is in Latin America, where a single woman is like an army of tailors. I mean, they are so skilled. They are exceptional. Other than that, it is so hard to do shows abroad. I've done work in Italy, I've done in Mauritius, I've done everywhere. I mean, even British seamstresses I've had, they're wonderful. But it is much harder than doing work in India. We are so lucky that we are here. And it is such a big country with so much home buying that one doesn't even need to go out and die outside, frankly. I mean, it doesn't mean I don't do well abroad. In fact, most of my good workings of profits in the past few years have been by selling to other countries. But I dread going for exhibitions abroad. I admire my colleagues who, I mean, it's like being in suitcases 3 times your weight and hanging, ironing, steaming, and there's hordes of work and the speed with which you have to work, because that's your counterpart there. He isn't used to staff at home. He isn't used to your mollycoddling. He's used to doing all that efficient work alone. And you have to be next to him. And you're clumsy. You're never going to survive next to them. So they are excellent. So when I was showing in London Fashion Week, next to me were the students like you guys that had their booth I don't know, one of the knitwear schools in Birmingham. You should have seen the skill set. I mean, one of the girls' lines was picked up by Browns. That's why, because they were just sitting there sewing. They were doing it all themselves. There's no tailor there. They do it themselves. That is who this Christopher Kane is. Christopher Kane and his sister, Tammy, they made their first line themselves till they became so big. And that with Harvey Nichols and all coming up, they could afford all the production teams. But everybody does it themselves. So you're going to bring your own suitcase up, you're going to open it yourself, you're going to hang it, iron it, tag it. You are the buyer, you're the donkey who cleans your stall. So, and shut it by the evening. So it's much harder abroad. It's so much easier here. I mean, of course, I've been very fortunate to be gone on very large projects over the time where I could afford assistants and take them along. But if you, even then, you have to work much harder. This is the best place to be in.
They're importing the final garments. By India, as India, we can get export over here only. Like, we have the raw materials, but we are lacking in
Export of
skill
clothes, India is very big.
To market over there as our own brand, not under somebody else.
See, your product needs to be super fantastic. In the fashion weeks all over the world, there's a very young, good case study for you to see. He's a designer called Ashish. He's #1 UK designer. He's an Indian guy from one of the colleges here. And I mean, you pass Selfridges. Sometimes the show window is only him. It's a pretty big deal. And he is 100% international brand, but he is completely made in India. And he himself is an Indian guy, but he doesn't showcase it. He showcases as a UK designer. So you can go anywhere and show yourselves and export the amount you want. Of course you can.
Any particular advantage Ashish gets by doing that, by not showing at home and showing there only?
He wishes to. It's his own desire. It's a creative expression. You go where you want to go.
Okay.
There is no stopping in this. You need to qualify, of course, with their strict vetting. So your design has to be the fighter. And once you do that, you can showcase, frankly, in Sao Paulo and be a Brazilian designer. There are no restrictions in it.
You know, what are the limitations you feel
Yeah.
are there that we are unable to do, reach that level? The international level that you're referring to. Of course, you refer
Yeah.
to skill-based.
But like, we are good in international, I think. Look, you're talking of international, which seems to be in everybody's mind, of what is called a world lobby of fashion. These are very highly owned, commercialized brands. I mean, I myself have met John Galliano over dinner and had a laugh with him. He has himself told me how he didn't have money to buy water one day till he got picked up from his finale collection, which also I think the buyer once told me of either Liberties or Browns. The boy didn't have money to stitch his own collection or buy thread. They helped him finish it. And from there he went on to head the house of Dior. And he truly, in my opinion, is one of the greatest designers. Whatever happened to him later was a different story. But that's success. It has its side effects. I mean, it's how you get picked up. So there is a world fashion. It's an international bank. There's a guy called Bernard Arnault. He's owner of 50% or 60% of international fashion. Then you have the Francois Henri. He is the owner of YSL and all. They are holding traditional school houses of fashion. They hire designers to replace the old ones. There's constant movement in them. That doesn't mean the designer is international. These are old houses of fashion. They're just being revived and encapsulated by these. There's a Prada family. They own quite a bit of the world fashion. They're the Fendi sisters, and in America there are 2-3 groups. They own the world fashion. Now, yes, of course, you can be one of them who goes and works for them. I could too be. We've had, I think, Ritu Berry, Manish Arora. They've had their stints going there as designers, working for them for certain periods. So it's not so hard. It happened to one of us. In the top 10. So if you can beat his money, you can go buy him and you'll own the world fashion yourself. You can turn the names around there. It's like Sahara owns Plaza Athene and Grosvenor House, so he can call it Subrata if he wants to.
How India works on it and why
I don't
it's
know. I mean,
lacking.
I'm myself very confused in this world of organic. Much as I like organic cotton, I'm sure at some point it's used a dye. If it's a vegetable dye also, for me to sustain it, for me to make a fixer, which will hold the color that is going to run, is a chemical. So I really think at some level there is no such thing. Either we eat or we have, which can be pure 100% organic. Unless the earth herself has been cleaned up and we start from that stage. I do work with shop for change. They're pretty good. But they're not 100% organic because cotton itself, when processed, is using a chemical to get white. Otherwise it's eaten up or the insect eats it up. So I personally think you can be 60-70% organic. There is no 100% organic. I mean, I'm sure there are lobbies which will eat me up alive for speaking this out, but it's not the truth. I showed 2 seasons this year. I did was once the buyers confirm their orders to me. Of course, I've had shortlists right now. They will go everywhere from America to Japan to maybe Italy to Moscow to some parts of Middle East. And maybe if I get energy, I will produce some pieces for my own retail. That is what was the international line. And yeah, I mean, if I convert them into Asian versions, once my prints are released, I can use them even into Amazon's own online shop. And then I did is what is called the grand finale, which was India's top 25 designers. We were told to work on orange, pink and red. So I used Fulkari and I sent it to Umeed, a charity in Punjab, where, you know, the heroin drug addicts, widows, they sit and do that. It's a rehabilitation group. I work with them. They do a lot of crochet and that. So I worked with them. They did my show clothes. It was quite nice. They got it out with all that energy, stress, shouting. Where are the pieces? Couriers, chase, and all that. We managed. So that's what Fashion Week was. It was a slower Fashion Week this year. But I think they're having a rediscussion on how to market it to a point where we are all happier. I mean, basically, there were logistic disadvantages this time more than the last season.
I want to be a blogger, I want to write about everything. So I want to limit myself by naming articles.
But you want to study fashion abroad further?
Uh,
Just to travel, you want to go?
yeah, and probably to learn. Once you're traveling, there's a lot of learning happening otherwise. Sitting in an institute and enrolling in a course will just offer me a very limited range. If I get to attend a lot of fashion weeks and I get a very hands-on experience like that, like you travel a lot, you attend all these shows, you display a lot of your garments in these shows, and there's so much of stuff happening. And even you as a designer who's so senior has learned so much. So I guess for me, that is going to be my.
So how will you see the shows then?
That I have to work upon. That is what I want to do.
She's a fashion communication student, so she's
Okay.
actually looking at
Yeah.
Indian institutes, like even say NIFT, Pearl, IIM, or any other institute, and how difference between like the institutes abroad, like say PAS and the SIT or Sanctions and Marketing, like what do they have? Like what is the difference that how their students are different from
I
ours?
would think that you guys would be very perfect for what is called the industry requirement. I would think you should strengthen that part, and which means the export factories, which is a very, they have the budgets to pay you, and they need people who will continue. Most of you quit in the first 3 months, feeling a sense of, kind of, what the hell is this? This is not what we signed up for. But it's not that. It's not. I mean, there is of course, especially if you go abroad, you have to attune yourself to serious immunity towards insult. If you're ready for that, go for that too. You might be safer here, huh? There's very strict, tough environment, and it's very hard. Anyway, it's not enough for you to be deterred. Of course, there's still those who survive all the time and carry on to do the same what their predecessors did. But I mean, I'm a bit done with this abroad story, but yeah, I mean, of course, it is very nice. The best institutes are St. Martin's in London. I think there's this good school in France, which is fantastic. In New York, FIT, some courses are very good. I myself have done FIT. And I think there are good professors there too. But there is, I still think St. Martin's is the big school. You have the best students out of there. The guys who could cut like wizards. They were there. But you have your strengths for the industry, which is the export industry. And they need the backup. You should just stick it out, learn from the guys. You will be so shocked that all of you combined will know way less than an average woman sitting there on a salary of 6,500. You will be marveling at her speed. You will not know whatever you can all combine here and call your knowledge. She, with her fingers, knows much more. These are the workers right next door to all of us. They are so skilled. They are the backbone of whatever you're wearing right now. It all comes from their hands. And there are many of them, numberless, faceless, so many. They still are much better than any of us, me included. They're so good. So those are the guys who will carry on to teach you further in your life. There can be your folders, cutters, thread cutters, checkers, pattern masters, the production guys, line guys. It's incredible what you have in the market, what the uneducated know. So what you have is what you will put it together for them in form. You will basically take their skill and convey to the buyer in a language he infers. But actually you will be the middleman for them, and that is what is really needed.
So what are the skills you're referring to?
Basically, I mean, I've worked with a lot of students. Some of my kids have become so big, they've gone on. I mean, I seem to have a thing wherein some of the interns who lasted me, because I'm obviously not the calmest when I have to deal with your, at that speed with your inferences of my expectations. I mean, they all seem to win some kind of awards, and they go to those colleges. The ones who last me have done, as I said, who's going to be my donkey? We took the donkey because they were going to pick up the fabric. And there we went through there, and we're out by 7:30. You've got to dodge all that. So the tailor, forget, you're going to have a lot of cheapsters who are going to be like a little bit of a ballet dancer. Very quick. Every second of your life, you have no clue about the problems you will face. There is no piece, however much you know, which will not give you a new idea or a new problem. There is no garment, there is no perfect story, there is no perfect show. So this is a world of problems, clothes, and its manufacturing. So only the very skilled will survive. So the designer, in fact, is the entrepreneur. So if you want to be both, I think take it on only if you're truly ready. Otherwise, go you know, shoot your troubles on others' shoulders. It's much better to survive, and you have food on your table.
Can you talk something about IPR and design? Means how do you get it done and
Well, I
how much
invented
is
this
it
churidar
necessary?
you seem to be all wearing now. Even the, you know, you get it on radies, I see. At in Madangiri and all, I see it because my maid gets it. Now, this was when I was getting married, December 1990. I myself was getting married, and I was buying all these churidars, and they were bigger than me. You know, so if you put up a churidar, they were higher than me, and then this way. So I couldn't get over this whole, you know, I mean, I must have been a very young girl, so desperate to be trendy, that I was making cat suits then. So I said, and I used to smuggle my churidar fabric from England, from Aldgate East, frankly. Because they had to smuggle everything, from deodorants and shoes to everything. You couldn't. In those days, it was impossible to even go abroad. Some of you must have been born in 1990. Huh? Or most of you, if you're 15, no.
No.
But that time when I did that, we used to smuggle them. I started making those kurtas. I learned how to do the needlework. I remember Tarun ringing me to ask me, how do you embroider on stretch? I told him how I did it. And then I took it on to the kurtas, because the 60s kurtas were my inspiration. And I said, oh, I can make it in stretch. I don't want to make 100 darts and sleeves. And I can move my legs. And I grew the churidar. So that's all I did. But it was my accidental requirement. So I had a need. I made my churidar. And from there, I remember once in Hoskas village, probably whenever it came around, the whole team of Chanel was there. So we're looking for Punjabis. And then, many years later, I saw it in Karl Lagerfeld's stockings. So he has no clue who I am, but it went on his table. And somewhere they thought it's good enough. Let's pull the length longer. That's all I did, actually.
But then how do you ensure that your designs don't get
So I tried to
published?
patent it then. And then it was very hard, the IPR laws. I'm talking probably 98 to 2004, I tried to patent it. I used my friend Manali Bandare to help me. In Calcutta, they said there's a patent office where you patent them. And then they told me after 5 years, even Edison's bulb is free for all. So I just left it. What can you patent? Your own friends ring you and say, now we're going to do it. So you just say, okay, well, I'm not going to say, so like churidar sleeve koi nahi bana sakta hai. You know, so you just, over time, everybody's influences work within each other. You can't change it. Patenting is a nightmare. It's impossible. Unless it's a design, you have a very big order, then you go through it. Or you want to sue your entire family and your friends, go ahead.
Live alone in the jungle.
Live alone after that, unhappy. On with the bag. If I tell you, go now to this street where there have been murders, so I've just had the Turkman gate, we go there. Get a sequin made this size and just return with it. We don't like no's. Yes is the good one. Anyone who does yes. Jugaad is very good with us. The survivor will last. Yeah, you need survival skills. The girls will say, oh, my hair's gonna go bad, I'll sweat it out and die. It's 6 o'clock, it's riots, bus nahi chal raha, today there's a taxi strike. Forget it. Don't even come in this way. Go in a magazine world is better for that. TV is good. Pretty girls should anyway go there. I did have one student called Onima. I told her to go for TV because she was so pretty. She did try, but she had speech issues, I think. I don't know where she is now. But she did 6 months with us, and 6 months full salary. She was so skilled. She managed with a full team of tailors and masters one complete design. That means she costed me 1 lakh was her salary. And on top of it, all those tailors she engaged for nothing, rip part, nothing right. So that uncertainty costed me a lot for the design. No takers in the end. So your experiments are a huge cost to your employer for the first 6 months. Here for you, they will give you all your requirements and they will sell your clothes online. And we were the jury for that. We shortlisted a lot of students. It was excellent. Some really very incredible work.
So you are all about cotton?
All about cotton also I do sustainable cotton because I do shop for change, and I'm with Cotton Council International.
Yeah.
They're USA based,
Yeah.
but I've stayed in touch with them over the years. Yeah, they also subsidize and give grants to students.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, for marketing your brand means you hire special marketing people or you do it yourself.
So today, if the students are good in blogs and all this Pinterest and all that, you don't need a person. Why would you waste money? You can do it yourself. You yourself can model your own clothes. You can cut your own clothes. You can sew them yourself. You can market it yourself. Why the hell will you add on costs to yourself? You want to go out in the market.
No, but aren't you short of time? Then you're doing the marketing and then you have to create new designs. And
Well,
then
you have PR people now. They're expensive, so you could
So
use
you are
them.
hiring PR agencies.
I don't hire them. I can't. If I put on my phone right now, and I have 5 journalists have called me by now, and too much of media attention always gets you the side effects, which is I am the IFCO ka general manager, I am this inspector. They just keep on phoning you. So it's better to be low key and low profile and not have yourself constantly entertaining some bored freak. So they're the younger brands from Anand Bhushan and this Rimzim Dadu. I buy a lot of their stuff sometimes. Not a lot, I'm like 1 or 2 pieces for myself. And there's hordes of them. They're so savvy on the net. They do it themselves, I think. Even Gaurav Gupta, so brilliant in his presentations. He's very young actually. I think he's still 30 something.
Because our students are doing a lot of things on digital media. And
Yeah. Digital is very good because there's so much. Because internationally, people are wanting to reduce costs since you are driven by the international platform. They don't want to waste money anymore on handwork, so they will limit it. The designer will limit his costs by doing digital experiments. So whether it's surface ornamentation, 3D design, everything is being done on a computer now. So they just issue out that to the factories in China and India, or even in England, whether it's knitwear also, because there's a huge boom in the knitwear world. Everything is being done digitally. It's one of the handicaps I have being old school, and I have to rely on all of you. So the digital is the biggest power right now.
our students are making scarves and all. They are
Exactly.
developing their own design prints.
You can probably import your own machines between laser cutting, rubberized, I don't know what all. Every year we have new developments coming up. Everything based on digital. Even the embroidery machines, which is a huge factory backups around here in this area also. You have a lot of Shifley factories, you have a lot of Angle factories, all done digitally. The only thing is, only 2, 3 sport factory, I can put you onto them. Because there already we have 4, 5 students who are permanently working. I think they're Pearl on it, I don't know where they're from. They're old there in the scene, and they will put you on as their assistants. And that should also benefit you guys. I can do. Yeah, that's right here in Gurgaon, Udyog Vihar. So,
By what name?
Spark. You can send them there. I'll put him on. Contacted him. He's doing okay, and he's bought himself a nice car and all that, and he cuts his patterns. He was so bad when he came to me that I said, what am I going to do with this kid? Because my brother had forced me to keep him. He's some relatives or friends, some relative. I sent him to my basement, which was filthy, and I told him, you start hanging up the, we have these khakas, tracing paper. I said, just start sorting them out. And after that, I forgot about him. I was so busy. 20 days later, I saw from the corner of my eye, that guy was coming to work every day, and he did the traces. He didn't give up. Then I started appreciating him. Because I realized what I thought was truly a dungeon, he had hung up. We still have his hung up patterns there. He made my artworks for. Then I moved him to Khaka. One of my dress, which I did 4,000 pieces for Anthropology USA. He made the final artwork, which was very complicated. He got it right. He was able to set what no Khaka guy in our factories could do. That same boy came up there. And then I would send him on errands. He'd walk barefoot poor thing. The bus wasn't available. He had no conveyance. But he stuck it out with me through a very difficult phase of 6 months. So today I was not surprised when I went back to him after 2 years. He can cut his own patterns now. He says, I don't hire a master. It's so expensive. I cut all my clothes myself. And he's doing reasonably well in this B grade market where he supplies suits to other stores. He's bought himself a nice car. He has a baby. So I'm quite very happy he stuck it out. So it's not, he wasn't even skilled to begin with. But because he didn't give up, he didn't mind the shit work he got to do. And he kept doing it. He survived. And today he's pretty skilled on his own. He learned on the job.
That's good to learn.
Not always, but it's a different vector in your business. So while it may look that the 5 minutes you see of our lives, maybe on a YouTube or something, and there's a lot of planning behind. So for the 16 girls we use in a ready-to-wear show, there is a good 160 people who went behind the scenes for a good 3 to 4 months to get it right. And still you may never think it's the best. You may have a journalist who may have another viewpoint. You are subject to complete assessment of your work. Luther King, he beat, and then there was me and 2-3 other designers who were part of that, not many. And there was Amitabh Bachchan, and that was all the British media wanted, only to talk to him. So whatever, he was important. He helped fashion that day. He managed to speak about it.
Ma'am, how much time do you think to stand a designer, like as compared to a person who is working in export house? Like my parents said, कि आप export house में काम करोगे तो वो better रहेगा as compared to designer. उसको stand होने में बहुत time लगेगा.
So I don't know how skilled you are right now. I have no clue. So if you have garments, send them to some jury. If you're selected, you're ready to go in the market. And you have the capital to put up for it or to find someone to invest in you, then go for it. You're ready.
If the person is skilled, then how much time will it take for a person?
There's no time here. You send out your clothes. There are juries all over. Go to the shows you want to be in. Go to the various hundreds of fashion weeks around the earth now. Send out your clothes and you're then probably ready to be a designer. But then you become your own investor also. Till your clothes are sold or not sold.
There's a very big question now from the students, how to generate, means how a designer can generate a finance, from what are the sources? A new upcoming designer can...
It's hard now because there is no money left in this country, I think, frankly. Now whatever's left, the government will take it. At the moment there is a crisis on, I think, in the retail systems also. Everywhere it's a quieter world. There is a very tough year for all of us to cross. Because most of the rich are no more rich. It's the poor and the middle class who are growing. So if your product can go into that, for sure, go into the growing markets. Why go for the rich? They're already all of us.